Well, I think people are in a state of somewhat shock as to what this new government is doing, I don't think there's room for, personally, I don't think there's room for something like you've suggested, because what you're suggesting is a sort of rapprochement, and that's not going to happen, not while this government you've got is doing the kind of things that they're doing. I can't see that happening.
I mean, there is a sort of gap in understanding about the government. I know that you and Elon Musk have described it as a fascist government, but Keir Starmer was elected this summer, and if he doesn't get things right, he'll be kicked out in 4 years' time. That's not really fascism.
Well, 4 years is a long time. No, I personally, England is a place that we see as a sort of parent country. We all come from England, really. Half the most famous people in the history of the world in the last few hundred years anyway, come from England. So, England is a beacon of what we consider to be good, and I've always considered to be good, on the side of right and all that sort of thing. And what Starmer has done is sort of spoiled that.
Let me ask, I'm trying to concentrate on Elon, your son, because he's one of the most consequential people in the world today, I would say.
Yes.
Were you surprised when he became so close to Donald Trump? I mean, he had not been a political guy for a very long time. I know he argued with you when you supported Donald Trump back in 2016, I think. So were you surprised by what happened this year?
Well, it wasn't just this year. When sort of white people go from out of South Africa, to places like the United States in those days, possibly also to England, you sort of immediately kind of felt you had to, swear you never had anything to do with apartheid, and you joined the most liberal sort of groups. Liberal's a nice word. I don't like that word. The sort of weirdo sort of left groups that you could find to sort of prove that you were not a person who supported apartheid. We never supported apartheid, really, but it was something we inherited from the European countries. But at any rate, Elon, as a result of that, spent most of his life going along with, this sort of, I suppose these days you call it the Democrat crowd. And then, a few years ago, he was very upset when he heard in 2015 that I'm supporting Trump, because Trump was in the same sort of business that I was in, and I was very happy to hear that those days that he was going to be standing for president, and being a businessman and everything. I thought, well, this is really good, and then Elon and them were very upset, and my other children and my other brother, his brother Kevin, were very upset with me, very, very upset with me actually. End of 21, Biden, had invited all the electric car companies to the White House for a few days to talk about electric cars, so that America's electric cars by 2035 sort of thing. And they didn't invite Tesla or Elon. And, Tesla built 1 million cars that year. And Biden introduced GM as the leading electric car manufacturer. They built 26 cars, and they didn't sell any. And so Elon was kind of puzzled. He couldn't understand. And so it started from there. And then it moved on in February 22, where he started making political statements, which I warned him about. I said, look, you're making political statements for the first time. This is quite dangerous. Do you have good bodyguards? And then he started seeing that Twitter was saying really bad things about him, and he couldn't understand why. So he decided then, well, if this is what Twitter's doing, and he realized it's a propaganda arm of the American government, that he's going to buy Twitter. So he did. And they tried to make it very difficult for him. But in the end, he broke through all the difficulty and bought Twitter and turned it into X, and it's now a normal platform for free speech. And so that's how he came into it. And as time has gone by, he's actually realized, well, if they go on the way Biden's been going, America's going to be a lost case in no time. And so that's why he's joined. We are practical people. We are like technical, practical people. And for that reason, he wanted to join with Mr. Trump. And so Mr. Trump sort of welcomed him along, on board. And I think the situation now could not be better, I guess now the problem might be that around Trump, it's a bit like a kind of Tudor king's court. There are lots of people wanting to be the person right beside Trump, and
Elon has described him as the first buddy, but there's J.D. Vance eyeing him up. How do you think he's going to be able to handle those tensions, those relationships around Trump? Because they're going to be pretty intense.
Well, first, let me say, I think England has gone back to the Tudor times, not America. You've just gone back 400 years with this government that you've got. So, okay, so let's see. No, there's no Tudor scene there. Trump is a very warm person. I've actually met him. He didn't know who I was when I met him, but I went over with the property owners group many years ago. He includes everybody. He makes sure that everyone in his group, or if he's able to do so, feels welcome. He's incredibly a warm person. So this idea that people are jockeying for position around Trump, no, that's not true. And Elon is the last person on earth who will jockey for position. So if he has to jockey for position, he knows he won't get anywhere, because he's not a very smooth guy, when it comes to being smooth. So, if you don't notice him, he won't be noticed. I mean, if you don't take the trouble to notice him, he's not going to go to the trouble of making sure you notice him,
So I get that. His last great crusade was about going to Mars and populating Mars. A very exciting one. Do you think? Oh, there it is. Do you think that he sees being part of the Trump revolution in America as the next big exciting thing for him? Is that what he's going to throw himself into?
No. Elon is on his own mission. He doesn't need any of these people. So, he already has everything. He doesn't need any of these people. All these heads of state around the world and everybody, they're all coming to him. He doesn't have to go to anybody. He's the one they come to. He doesn't go to anybody. So as far as Trump is concerned, I think he would see Trump as being administration, and perhaps future administrations, as being more understanding of what he's trying to do. And, whereas Biden and his crowd were actually opposed to everything he was trying to do. Mm-hmm. So why? I don't know. I mean, they're just, it's basically a bunch of can-do people versus a bunch of can't-do people. So Biden, to my mind, is, the whole grouping of the can't-do people. And so they don't like people who can do things. And so that's a problem. It's a sort of species problem in the world today.
And so for Elon, it's about getting a favourable government that he agrees with, not his own political ambitions, because, of course, as a South African, he can't stand in the United States, can he? So there's a limit to that.
No, he's now an American citizen, so, he's lived there for a long time.
But I think you have to be born there. I think you have to be born to stand.
No, you have to be born there to be a president. I don't think Elon would not be thinking about something like that at this time. I mean, he's thinking about the present situation, the present problem. And it's not that he would have, he would have a government that is more intelligent than the one that has just, sort of fallen away. So that's very important. You can't, if Elon had gone to the UK, France, or wherever to try and do the things he's done in the last, 20, 25 years in the United States, he could not have done it, because it's the only place he could ever have done the things he's done has been in the United States, because of the way the United States operates. And, it's a free enterprise in society. And so he wants to keep it that way, and this last crowd were well out on their way to try and turn America into something that is not American.
Yeah. So do you think, as a businessman, as you say, as a doer, do you think Trump needs him more than he needs Trump?
Well, at this stage, I'd say it's sort of more like an equal thing, I mean, it's very helpful for Trump to have the support of someone like Elon. I mean, when Elon announced his endorsement for Trump, I think it was the turning point for Trump. With Elon's some 150 million followers and all that sort of stuff, mostly in America. I mean, he's going to obviously have a tremendous influence. Over the years, I've seen many, posts on social media where people say, if only Elon was our president and all that sort of thing. Of course, Elon is a businessman, and he works with people who are the 10% of the 10%, have to pass the exams before he employs them. So Elon working in the government, where they more or less have to employ all sorts of people, and not particularly Elon would have some trouble in government. But, he's going to stick purely to his type of world, where, he tries to choose the people who are most capable, to do the kind of things that are so difficult.
And circling back to where we started, and relations with the UK, do you think there is nothing that Keir Starmer and the British government could now do to make things better with your son?
Was my son. Look, I don't think Elon gives the British government a second thought. I mean, he has made these pronouncements that everybody has seen. I probably made the same pronouncements. He's just in a position that people listen to him. So, the two-tier policing system is quite obvious. The craze to increase taxation in America, in the UK, is obvious.
From your perspective, from your point of view, there's really nothing that Keir Starmer can do to build a bridge.
No, he needs to resign. He needs to resign before 4 years. I think he needs to resign in the next 3 months so that you can have another election. But I would say that the things that Starmer's people have done, like Starmer sent 100 people from the government in England to support Harris's election campaign. That's crazy.
They were volunteers. He didn't send them, I don't think. They were volunteers.
Oh, well, he shouldn't have allowed them to go because that's interfering in another country's elections. And the other thing is, the things that these people that he's put into cabinet posts have said about Trump are not gross. They are way beyond gross. So in the past, if somebody had said things like they've said about Trump, it would really be a dueling matter. So if somebody had said things like that a couple 150 years ago, they would be challenged to a duel to the death because you can't say the things they've been saying.
Well, talking about things that are said, we all read all sorts of stuff and you never know what's true or not. But I read at one point that you said that you weren't proud of Elon. Given what he's achieved, can that really be true?
Oh, no. I was being asked on Australian television questions by two questioners at the same time. The one person asked me, do I think something to the effect that is our family special or something? And then I was about to say no when the other woman came in and said, are you proud of Elon at the same time? And then I said, no, we consider ourselves to be people who try very hard. And then that was immediately spun as to I said, no, I'm not proud of Elon. No, in any case, pride is one thing that you might have if your child is kind or shares their sweets or something at school or helps those who seem to be, or helps some old lady across the street, or, that you'd be proud of your child doing something like that. But when you're a parent, you're happy and relieved if your children make a success of themselves and can support themselves. I mean, that's what a person
I think it's fair to say he can do that. So sort of, as it were, for the record, I mean, you have had a difficult relationship at times. How do you regard him now?
Well, the same as I always have. We're on very good terms, and I mean, always have been. As far as it's possible within a family. If you've ever had if you have a family and you have children and wives and all that sort of stuff, Christmas is coming up. I hope you don't have a family get-together at Christmas because the first day will be great. The next day will be complaining and saying nobody likes them. So that's family,
You'll be seeing you on Christmas Day, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe. But, families have their ups and downs, obviously, And we have very good relationship. It's as good as I want it to be. I don't want to be messing in my children's affairs. And in any case, they think I'm too old. I should be in an old age home, but no.
All right. Errol Musk, thank you very much indeed for talking to LBC.
It's a pleasure.